This episode of the Rocker Skating Podcast is brought to you by MK Blades, the choice of champions. For nearly a century, MK has crafted world-class figure skating blades trusted by Olympians and beginners alike. Whether you're perfecting your first jumps or chasing gold, MK gives you the edge you need. Visit mkblades.com and find your perfect pair. All right, welcome to the Rocker Skating Podcast. It is Cup of China week, and I spent a lot of time overnight. Michelle, you only spent a little bit of time overnight.
Yeah, I didn't quite have the strength to stay up for this, but I did get home really late from a concert on Friday, and I was like all awake and wired, so I watched the free dance. And I did watch the first group of the rhythm dance live, and then sleep took over. But it was really fun to wake up in the morning and have all these results to look at, and then just sit on my couch all day watching skating.
Fun.
Yeah.
I feel like that was either you sat somewhere and watched skating overnight, or you sat on your couch watching skating all day on Sunday or Saturday. So that was good. I am currently having another espresso because it's been a weekend of recovery, but it was another very good competition. I'm really just generally excited about how the season is going. I think with the exception of some of these injuries and withdrawals we've been seeing, which are sad to see, the competition across the board has been really, really strong. And it's great to see that in an Olympic season. It's great to see that, there's a lot of, potential ambiguity in what the results might be, especially amongst the top 10 for each of these four disciplines. It's a lot of great skating going on. So excited to dive into it. All right. So if you're just joining us, it's the Rocker Skating Podcast. And we are, as always, sponsored by John Wilson Blades. Where do we start this week? I think should we just like jump into it and go into pairs, because I'm still having feelings about pairs.
Yeah, but we're gonna fight, so then we're gonna be on bad vibes for the rest of the episode. Jackie and I were fighting yesterday.
We were
text.
fighting. It is true.
I was deeply offended by some of the things he had to say.
Which we won't talk about here. All right. So the pairs event, as Michelle and I both kind of expected, Metelkina and Berulava won 2:17, Conti Machi at the silver, and then our Olympic champions Sui and Han with the bronze over Zhang and Huang. And I feel like we've talked about this ad nauseum. So if you have been listening to this podcast, you will know that the Chinese Olympic selection process started this past weekend with Cup of China, because their criteria for the 4 spots that they have for the Olympics are basically very simple. You add up the points that you get at Cup of China with the points that you get later on at Chinese nationals, and whoever gets the most points goes to the Olympics. And so that was why this competition was especially important. And you saw across the board, there was a lot of emotion with the Chinese skaters, because you knew that they knew that there was implications to what happened here. So Sui and Han takes a 7.5 point lead over Zhang and Huang going into Chinese nationals. And so for me, the thing that I was saying in our recaps, or in my recaps, was that given the way that they skated here, and I'm saying Sui and Han, the fact that they are already in a leading position it makes it almost impossible for Zhang and Huang to get that Olympic spot, unless some kind of crazy disaster happens at Chinese nationals. Because one, there's a lot of kind of Sui and Han can do no wrong going on here with the scoring, and then two, Zhang and Huang are just they're doing the best that they can already, right? And there's not much more that they can do whereas Sui and Han have a much higher ceiling. And with another month of practice, with another, more run throughs going on, right? Like that's going to make a huge difference in the way that they show up at these competitions. So, um, the door's obviously not closed yet, but it's not open quite a lot, right? For Zhang and Huang, they needed to come away from this competition with a lead over Sui and Han, and they didn't get that.
I mean, I'm not that surprised. I think I expected this final result between these two teams. I was impressed with how hard Zhang and Huang fought in their programs. They skated really well. They weren't quite as good as at the Olympic qualifier, but did some good skating here. Their throws are just so good.
So
It's
good.
just
They're
something like those Chinese throw technique is just out of this world. Yeah, life
Their their
giving.
their throws are distance-wise
Yeah,
even bigger than Sui and Han's.
yeah.
And that throw flip that they do is just so
Hmm.
effortless and amazing to see. And it's kind of like that with the Chinese pairs, right? There's sort of this one-upping every
Hmm.
generation, right?
Hmm.
Like the originals, Shen and Zhao and Pang and Tong
Hmm.
and Zhang and Zhang, like
Hmm.
they all had big throws, and
Yeah.
then Sui and Han came, and it's like, okay, these are these are bigger throws or
Hmm.
and more difficult throws or whatever, and now Zhang and Huang are here, and it's even more spectacular than what Sui
Hmm.
and Han have done, which is pretty amazing.
Hmm.
Speaking of
Yeah.
which, shall we talk about Sui and Han?
Sure. Do you want me to go first while you
Why
enjoy
don't
your
you go
espresso?
first? Yes, please.
Jackie has two different beverages today. He's switching back and forth, and he's don't be swallowing when I start saying this because I don't want you to choke. I was so delighted to see Sway and Han. It was clear that they have not been training at full speed for very long. They're still out of shape. They are still, working to get their form back. Particularly Song Han. He was working hard, and you could tell that they hadn't done a lot of run throughs. I think they said their free skate was their fourth run through. Yeah, but the magic is still there. And I think these two programs they have are lovely vehicles for them. I really liked the free skate. And there's something about the way, particularly Wenjing, the way she moves her arms, the way she moves her back, her facial expressions, it just like draws you in. And I feel like in the last couple of years, we haven't had that like magic in pairs in that way. There's just something about them that just pulls me in, and I'm really excited to see once, they've had a little more training and a little more time in the gym, they get things a little better. They work things out to see where their programs go. They don't have a ton of time, but they do have time. And they had some technical issues here that I think are just a result of being undertrained. Lift issues, solo jump issues, they'll get there. And I when they didn't show up to the qualifier, I was really concerned, like, that we weren't going to see them. It was like a question. And to see them so, at least wenching, bright and smiling and out there, competing, I was really happy. It made me so happy to see them. I also have one little quibble about the ISU broadcast, and I feel like this comes up a lot with ISU broadcasts. They may not care as much as maybe, I don't know, I care, or maybe it's a cultural thing. To have an announcer on the world feed that cannot pronounce the Olympic champions' names correctly is infuriating. Sui and Han, Song Han. Okay, and I know, like, I'm not doing the fully correct Chinese pronunciation, but I'm not calling him Kong like a dog toy. Like, I found it so offensive. Wenjing Su and Kong Han. That's unacceptable. And it's just, like, so oblivious to, like, do you even watch skating? Like, are you in skating? I can't, I don't tolerate it. I can't take it. But anyway,
Yeah,
that was my quibble with that. I was upset about that. But
yeah.
otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, name pronunciation is a thing I have very much quibbled about as well. So
Mhm.
you know my feelings on it. Agreed with that for sure.
Mhm.
I would say 80% of what you said I agree with, and I think the 20% that I don't agree with is where you and I are duking it out. Look,
Mhm.
I, the way that they showed up here was exactly the way that I thought they would show up, which is the lifts were going to be an issue,
Mhm.
stamina was going to be an issue, and Wenjing was going to be pretty good. Like that's sort of when I put them fifth in my predictions last week, and everybody got on my case for it. That is exactly the skating that I thought they would show up with. And the issue that I had was not about where they are, which, to your point, like they haven't been training that much, and they have a lot of room to grow, and that's kind of where that is. The thing that was for me the most jarring was that there were so many mistakes, and they were not given they were giving a lot of time of day for the very visible mistakes. I think that there's something about reputation scoring sometimes where it's like if you have some minor stuff, people kind of turn the other cheek, and maybe you don't get a -2 and you get a +1 kind of thing. These were not minor mistakes,
Yeah.
especially those lifts. Uh, there was the technicality of the group 5 lift, which we had talked about in the short program, where he starts off basically trying to do a group 5 lift, and then because he's not trained enough, he does a group 4 lift, which is an easier press lift. And in the short program, you have to do a group 5 lift. Therefore, instead of a 72-point short program, they really should have gotten a 63, 64-point short program, because that entire lift should have been invalidated, and it should have been called a group 4 lift in the free skate. Like, it wouldn't have been invalidated in free skate. In the free skate, it would have just gotten a different call. Neither of those times it was called. And there was a lot of chatter on figure skating Twitter about that, because it wasn't just people like me talking about it. It was pairs specialists who were sort of up in arms about stuff, whether it was in front of Twitter and talking about it there, or behind the scenes in the chatter. Like, there was a lot of talk about that lift, and that was the thing. Like, that was an actual huge error in the short program that they did not get deducted for. And then the 2 lifts that he had a lot of trouble getting up in the air also were, like, to anybody else, that would have been a major mistake, and they were barely dinged for it. It was like a 0 or a -1, I think, for most judges. And so that's the kind of stuff that I was a little bit just like, like, are we really talking about the same programs here? Like, I can overlook, even though I don't want to, I can overlook the fact that they got 8s for their components. Their basics are not as strong as they used to be yet, because they're trying to do all the things that they can to make sure they're not getting exhausted through the program, right, and being able to do those things. Wenjing is the one who is the star. I used to, when the 2 of them skated at their best, Song Han was also very good and very committed to the programs, and he was not yet. Probably also because he was like just trying to get through the fourth time they ever ran through the free skate, right? Like all of those things. I think the choreography has potential. I just didn't. It wasn't the magic that you felt that I got from it, and I think a lot of it was because I kept having quibbles with the mistakes that they were having, and kept looking at the score box, being like, "Wait a second, what? That's not a positive GOE element. Like, not even close." So that's where I was. In my mind, that short program should have been 63, 64 at best. That free skate should have been 120 at best. And Zhang and Huang rightfully should have taken a lead of probably 10 points going into Chinese nationals. And that's taking into account, like, I'm not even saying like drop their PCS. I'm saying the technical parts of it were what they were. So have gone back, rewatched the programs, and I feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's listened to me before know that I love this pair. I have loved this pair for a very long time, and it was just the way that they showed up here was exactly how I thought they would show up, and I would hope that if and when they make it to four continents, if they go there, and the Olympics, if they make it there, which is fairly certain at this point, I think, that they bring more, and they have time. Like you said, not a lot of time, but they have time.
Yeah. I mean, in 2 weeks, they're going to be at Grand Prix Japan, and I expect even more from them there. I feel like
Yeah,
it's coming back.
yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
wasn't looking at the
they
scoring box. I was just in the vibes. I was just so happy, and I watched them twice too, and I didn't look at the scoring box either time.
if only they just skated to "It's All Coming Back to Me Now."
Oh
That might
yeah,
have been.
maybe that can be their gala program.
I know.
I did read that our friends at Anything GOEs are going to have Megan Duhamel on their podcast this week to talk
Oh
about
boy.
this event, and I'm going to listen to that because no one knows pairs scoring better than her. I'll be interested to hear what she has
Yeah,
to say.
very
Um,
interested.
yeah, but
Probably even more outraged than I would.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
And we also know that Megan Duhamel is a big Sui and Han fan. Like,
Mhm, mhm,
so okay, speaking of lifts, we talked about this earlier in the season as well. Luka Berulava's
mhm.
footwork is
Scary.
the last time I was saying it, I was trying to get the word
Yeah.
for it, and the word for it that I was trying to find was frenetic.
Mhm,
His feet are very frenetic, and they are.
mhm,
And if you even paid attention to them a little bit, you will get distracted because there are a lot of pair guys who will do their lifts and kind of barely lift their feet,
mhm,
and it's very smooth. It's almost like they're sort of just like rolling around those mohawks, and he does not. And I think a lot of it is because he's had trouble with um, lifts before, and kind of incorrect footing, and making sure that the person is up while he's still rotating, and so his footwork is very exaggerated, and you see him try to maybe overcorrect for it, but also it's because it's so frenetic, it's choppy,
mhm.
and while Anastasiia is having this like beautiful position in the air,
Mhm.
like he's sort of like sweating down there trying to get it
Yeah.
around, and he it there wa- it, we were a couple milliseconds away from a disastrous
Mhm.
lift fall um in the free skate, and it was all power to him that he got it back on track, but like he almost fell like right on his rear end
Mhm.
on I think it's the second to last lift in the free skate, and that was a scary moment.
Yeah.
Scary lifts, please. Can we not have those?
Yeah.
Those are the worst.
Yeah. I would point to if you wanna know what good feet look like in a lift, look at Balazs. He's a good one. It feels like it's kind of a contradictory action, like you're lifting as high as you can with your arms and holding up, and then you wanna be smooth with your feet. It's
Hmm.
just like it's something you have to really learn, technically, and yeah, that was spooky. You know
Yeah,
I was very impressed with their lifts in this event was Filippo Ambrosini.
I
I
was
thought
about to say Filippo
yeah!
Ambrosini.
Every
Filo
year they
always
get
has the
better.
best.
Mhm. Just so good, and their, exits were just so like, 'cause they were adding, like, complexity, and they were great. Gilardi Ambrosini had a great flamenco free skate. I loved it, and they were so passionate in it, and it was charming. I was there for it. I loved their skate. Yeah, I agree with you that they were underscored. I think that they should have gotten more, especially in
Yeah,
the components.
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. And the kids call it serving face. That's what we always expect
Mhm.
from Rebecca Gilardi and Filippo
Mhm.
Ambrosini's
Mhm.
face serving to the
Mhm.
max, if you will. Um, and then I think the one and two were rightly called.
Mhm.
If I might have had them closer than the 8-point difference. But Kantimachi also was they
Pain
had a lot of
issues.
they had a lot of sort of minor mistakes, lots of
Yeah.
hand downs that all added up to a lot. So I think it's for me. I think it was just like the lack of calling for maybe
Hmm.
the lifts for Metelkina Berulava more than I think Conti and Mechie were scored more or less right.
Hmm. I loved the Germans, Hake and Kunkel's Meatloaf free skate. They are just so committed to a little bit of like Eurovision camp. It's just like they had Amadeus last year. This is
Yeah,
just, I do anything for love, but I won't do that. And they had big hearts on their back. Yeah, it was fun.
they're such a good team, and I think
Yeah.
I do think that they get a little hosed because they're
Yeah.
not the most consistent.
Hmm.
Like we talked about this the other day, right? Like they were top six,
They
top
were fifth at
five. They were
Worlds 2 years
fifth at
ago.
Worlds. Yeah, fifth
Yeah.
at Worlds 2 years ago. So like we know they can do this stuff, and it's
Hmm.
just like if they can just pull it together with their consistency, I think they can go a long way. But it's
Hmm.
they're not Hasse Volodin, who's always
Hmm.
like calm and collected and like
Hmm.
always there. Like they're up and down, up and down, up and down,
Hmm.
and they because of that they just don't get that kind of consistency and reputation, if you will.
Hmm.
Even though they are very solid as a pair.
Hmm.
That's pairs. I'm sure Michelle and I will continue to have text battles about this one.
Hmm.
Let's go to the ice dance competition. Chock and Bates, not surprisingly, with the win.
Hmm.
Zingas Kolesnik's somewhat surprisingly with the silver. And then Loparieva Brissot making a bit more of a comeback, I think, than what we were expecting. Given early season scores, they get
Hmm.
third. So, and then Smart Dijk fourth, mostly because of a fall in the rhythm dance. And
Hmm.
so, that it was a strong competition. It was also a competition with a good number of mistakes
Hmm.
that kind of led to the results being what they were.
Hmm. You know who we didn't see any mistakes from were Zingas and Kolesnik. They skated so well, both programs, and were really rewarded with very high scores. I think they set new personal bests in both segments. They got
Yeah,
an 80 in the
yeah.
rhythm dance and
First
like
time in the 200s.
yeah. Yeah. 121 plus in the free dance. They were so delighted with it. I really like their programs. I feel like they have grown, in the like month since we've seen them. Their Romeo and Juliet ballet free dance is really interesting. I think it's like an interesting take on
Hmm.
Romeo and Juliet. I love the intensity of it. I think Benoit Richaud did the choreography.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was
he
exciting
he's
for them.
been pretty magical for them. I think Benoit,
Mhm. Yeah.
just like really talking their language, really getting them material that pushes them forward,
Mhm.
and there are no ringing telephones, no
Yeah.
voiceovers, none of that stuff. It's just very classic skating from them. And Emilea Zingas was a single skater up until 4 years ago
Mhm.
ish.
She was at Nebelhorn in 2021 for
Yeah,
Cyprus.
trying
Yeah.
to qualify for
Mhm.
an Olympic spot, and they started off very strongly. That first
Mhm.
season that they came on as a team, it was like, oh wow, like they're gonna
Mhm.
go somewhere, and then they sort of stalled the last couple of
Mhm.
seasons. A lot because they were making mistakes in
Mhm.
international competitions, right?
Yeah.
But also because I didn't feel like there was the kind of step change in improvements for
Mhm.
the two of them as a team.
Mhm.
And I think this year, the two of them just like they skate more together. Their holds are closer. They're like she feels it feels like she's got much more of a individual reliance on her own
Mhm.
edges and like those
Yeah.
types of things. Like
Definitely more of a running edge.
they're
Yeah.
just stronger in a lot of the aspects, and you can see that, and you can see that in not just the scores, right, but also the execution of those elements, and the fact that I think their levels have gone have probably consistently been higher this season than they have been
Hmm.
before. And so I agree with you that I think the Romeo and Juliet free dance is a very good vehicle for them. It's like a season for Romeo and Juliet programs that are very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So um,
Yeah.
it's good
Uh,
to see.
I think they have the advantage in having a really unique rhythm dance too that kind of makes sense and doesn't feel like, oh, we have to find music to work for this rhythm. And it's, it just feels natural. It's like Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. And it's just like, is that how do you pronounce that? I knew
Belle
the
Biv
song.
DeVoe.
Belle Biv DeVoe. Yeah. And yeah, it just, it works. It works on them. It just feels organic. I also enjoyed the pictures of them backstage. They were so happy. And they took some pictures with Igor Spielbaum, their coach, and he was smiling like I've never seen before. It was like the Cheshire Cat. He was so happy. And Vadim was so excited. He said it was like they feel like they like won an Olympic medal. It's just a Grand Prix medal, but you know.
I mean that's exactly the thing we were talking about.
Mhm.
That we everybody knows that these competitions are
Mhm.
more important than usual
Yeah.
because of the implications of it. I mean, they get silver here, and all of a sudden they are actually in contention for the Grand Prix final. Now, their next competition is going to be, I think, even a deeper field,
Mhm.
and so I think that's it's going to make it tougher. Yeah, they've got Finland coming up,
Mhm.
Finlandia, and just looking down. Oh, that's the return of Shibutanis, maybe. Uh, Fournier, Vaudry, Ciceron, Turquila Versluis,
Mhm.
Gilles Poirier. Yeah,
Oh my
that's gonna be a
god.
tough one. That's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, either way, right? Like this is a big result for them.
Mhm.
Um,
I feel like there's 4 teams in contention for that, like, 2nd or 3rd Olympic spot at the US, and we've seen 3 of them now. We saw Brady Somerville last week. We saw Green and Parsons at this event. They had an unfortunate Michael had a fall in his twizzle in the rhythm dance, and they ended up withdrawing right before their free dance, due to, a small injury that he sustained. We haven't seen the Shibutanis yet, but, I mean, this team is way out in the lead in terms of the 3 that we've seen.
yep,
Just based on results so far. So, yeah, be interesting to see what happens as the Grand Prix goes on.
yep. Uh, Chalk and Bates. Shall we talk about their debut?
Yeah.
I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they don't always start off strong, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of their MO.
Yeah.
I do like the free dance
Me
material,
too.
and that there's a lot of potential to that one.
Mhm.
There was the curve lift combo
Mhm.
was probably the highlight for me. It's just like
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
really
With the
cool.
skirt.
Well, yeah, with the skirt, with the music, like it worked so well.
Mhm.
But right now for me, that free dance is still moments. It's not complete quite yet.
Yeah. They'll get there. I remember this last season too, like I saw a lot of chatter on Twitter about their score because they got a 123 in the free dance. People were like, "Oh, that's behind what Fear and Gibson scored," and all this stuff. I feel like you can't compare event to
No,
event on the Grand Prix. And last year, Chalk and Bates had scores that were a little bit concerning at their Grand Prix events, and then they get to the final and they beat everyone. So it's just like, it takes them a little while to build think, they're fine. I do take issue with the level 2 on their straight line lift. I felt like that was not very nice. I mean, so I'm there's like 2 features missing and they have to be entry and exit. And you're saying like this doesn't have a difficult entry or exit? Like she's got first of all like 5 yards of skirt hanging off. She's wrapping herself with her leg around Evan's foot and balancing in a plank and then getting out of that, I'm not happy. I think that was not, polite,
yeah,
and
I was surprised about the two. They did review that lift, and they
Mhm,
reviewed it and still called it a two.
mhm,
I haven't had a chance to look at it, but to your point about the 123, right?
mhm,
There were a number of factors for that 123
mhm,
being where it was. One of which was the choreographic assisted jump right at the
mhm.
beginning, which they got an exclamation point for.
Yeah, thank
And
goodness.
if you have if you have listened to the Rocker Skating podcast, you will know what exclamation points are for choreographic sequences, which is that they didn't complete some kind of requirement for that element. And for
Yeah.
this one, I think the way that I saw it was there are two ways that you don't get it called. One is if they do a lift or they do an assisted jump, and the jump, quote unquote, is more than a rotation, which all three of those jumps were one rotation, and I don't
For the
think they would
lifting
have
partner.
for the lifting partner. Yep.
Mhm.
And then or the lifted partner. Either way, I mean they're
Mm.
just it's a rotation.
Mhm.
And then the other one was you can't have more than 3 steps in between
Mhm.
the assisted jumps. And I think
I think that's
there
yeah.
was one where Evan looked like he might have taken 4 steps, and it's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me?" Uh, but yeah, I think that was the issue, but that in itself cost them a good 2 or 3 points.
Mhm.
They
GOE.
yeah, exactly. They
Mhm.
would have gotten a +4, +5
Mhm.
likely on it, and that made a difference. Um, the Maddie's Twizzles had issues, and
Mhm.
so that cost them a couple of points. And yeah, as you said, the straight line lift was called a 2, so that was another couple points, right? Like you add that all up, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, had they gotten all of those actually pretty simple
Mhm.
things to get, for them, pretty simple things to get, they would have been 129, 130.
Mhm.
And they were not as strong as they otherwise would have. I think they were still trying to figure out the music. You're right. Trying to figure out it. There is a lot of
Mhm.
complex choreography in it,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of the difference between that and a more complete program, which we will no doubt see later on in the season.
Mhm.
But we'll see, right? It is a lot of how does everybody stack up against each other, and we won't know for sure, like you said, until Grand Prix final.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that their free dance is a great vehicle for them. It feels very refreshed. It feels like so much more original than the material they've had the last couple seasons. I love the addition of working with the skirt. I love the characters they added to it, some of the interactions between them. Yeah, I think it's just going to be an awesome vehicle by the time we get to Milan. It's going to play really well. And I also appreciated that they didn't have any vocals in the music, that it was
Hmm.
all just, like, sort of the music, the flamenco combined with Paint It Black. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, d- did we want to talk about Le Parrier Brissot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. La Briva Brissot, the free dance is still growing on me. It's something about it is just I'm not engaged, and usually when I watch this team, I'm so engaged. I don't know if it's the edits, if it's the staging of the choreography, I'm not sure. Um, yeah,
I
I don't
think
know.
that I do
I
think
think you agree.
their rhythm dance is um more catchy
Oh, yeah, I love it.
than their free dance. So
Mhm,
that's ice dance for you.
mhm.
Okay.
Oh, wait, we have to talk
Uh,
about Dune too.
oh, Dude too, of course.
Mhm,
Gosh, so many things to talk about. Um, so Smart and Deke had a fall in the rhythm
mhm,
dance, and they had to crawl back from sixth place.
mhm,
Um, Dune 2, I thought the way that they skated that program at, what was it, Nepala, was
mhm.
a little stronger. But I think it's still a great program.
Yeah.
I do think that they were maybe a little bit shell shocked to be in the first group.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it's growing on me. I feel like I was going to be kind of sick of it, but I'm not. I like the theme on them, and I'm enjoying seeing it, you know, still. Even though it's a different program, it's like I'm still invested in the aura of Dune.
And she had a new dress on.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a subtle change, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think no doubt had they been in the final group, that 120 would have been a couple points higher.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure they're disappointed in this. Luckily for them, there's
Mhm.
no real like nationals implications for
Yeah.
any of this stuff.
Yeah, they
So
have spots.
yeah, they're just 2 spots for the Spanish dance teams. Yeah. unprecedented times.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to go from the slight mess that was the ice dance event to the big mess that was the men's event. There's a lot of mess.
Yeah.
And especially in the free skate, it was just a lot to deal with. And for me, Shun Sato and Tomoki Hiwatashi stole the show.
Yeah. And Shun
Um,
Sato's coach.
yeah, and Shun Sato's coach. That celebration was unprecedented.
Incredible pictures. It was great. Especially with his Shun having his Shun towel over his face.
I
And his
know.
coach is like, ah! Yeah.
He's just like, leave me alone. I'm just trying to breathe.
Yeah.
There was a thing, Chris Hellworth was talking about this on the World feed, where it was very hot in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it with all of the skaters kind of coming out,
Yeah.
and they're just like
Yeah.
glistening because
Yeah.
there's like this film of sweat for all of them, especially after the free skates. Skating in kind of hot, heavy conditions is actually like it's something that skaters are not often used to,
Mm-hmm.
and it does lead to things happening on the ice, and I think we saw some of that. Not that it's like menning is menning, but
Mm-hmm.
we saw that kind of across the board
Mm-hmm.
in these disciplines. So that I wanted to point that out before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
But Shun Sato doing himself a lot of favors.
Yeah.
Winning this event, putting himself into contention for the Grand Prix final. He and Yuma right now are far and above the front runners for those for those 3 Olympic spots. And then it's like everybody else, who's going to do it? And we thought maybe Sota Yamamoto would be able to go somewhere here.
Oh,
And he was
had a
saying
day.
he was saying
had a
he
bad
just
day.
he wasn't quite trained enough yet after the injury. You saw some glimpses of brilliance in the short, and then kind of like last week with Kalmiura and with Tatsuya Suboi, glimpses of brilliance in the short program, and then a complete disaster in the free. You were just like, when is this program going to end? Because he's just like out of it now. So he ended up in 9th place. Similarly with Denis Vasilyev's, we talk about beloved skaters who have had a tough go at this season. This was his debut, solo, no coach. Who knows how long he's been training and what his training conditions have been like, all of that stuff, and he ends up 10th. Mistakes abound, unfortunately. I think highlights for me, Jacob Sanchez finally having a good free skate.
Yes, he's great.
It's too bad he had the issues in the short program. Otherwise, he would have been not quite right up there with Tomoki, because Tomoki had harder program elements, but he would have been closer. But still, you saw the sigh of relief from him after the free skate. Like he's like, finally a good free skate. Now put 2 of them together, and maybe he'll go somewhere. Boyang Jin.
Oh my God, Jackie, what was that free skate music?
It was Ed
what?
Sheeran and Andrea Bocelli. I had no
Andrea
idea.
Bocelli singing Ed Sheeran.
I had no idea.
I was like, what is this?
I had no idea how many versions of Perfect there was, because there was a Beyonce version too.
Oh my God. It's such a bad song. And it's just so cheesy. And like, maybe Boyoung likes it, and they're like, oh, let's do it in Italian, and then let's just do both. And that was just like, I don't know.
But like, are they supposed to be singing to each other? Like, is Ed Sheeran telling Andrea Bocelli that he's perfect, and
maybe,
and then Andrea Bocelli is telling Ed Sheeran that he's perfect? Like, is that what's happening?
I don't know, and I didn't enjoy it. And you know what? If there's anyone I want to see bring back a program, it's Boyoung Jin bringing back Spider-Man for the Olympics.
I mean, yes, and also he would need to train his stamina a lot more to get that Spider-Man program to be where
That's
it was.
okay.
Um, I mean, talk about another one who's like he was trying to get through the elements, and you can
Mhm.
see, especially at
Oh,
the beginning
it's
of his free
brutal.
skate, he was just so much slower than than we're used to seeing from
Mhm.
him because he was conserving energy and trying to
Mhm.
make sure that like he knows that the things that he needs to do is not skate a brilliant program, right? The things that he needs to do is he needs
Mhm.
to land those jumps.
Mhm.
And for the most part, he landed those jumps. And talk about the Chinese battle here. He goes
Mhm.
into Chinese nationals with a 35-point lead. Is that right? Yeah, 35
Yeah.
point lead. Like there's no way Dai Wei Dai is catching him.
I was so bummed about poor Daiwei Dai did not have a good weekend. He
No,
just
no.
really struggled in the short and in the free and did not skate up to his ability, which is very
Yeah,
high,
yeah.
and I was sad about that.
I
Um,
mean, unfortunately, he's just one of those skaters who's just so inconsistent, and
mhm,
sometimes you just get a really good
mhm.
version of him, and that's what we got at Worlds, and we didn't get that here. Unfortunate.
You know who I really enjoyed was Vladimir Litvintsov
Of course.
skating the best version of his free skate we've seen so far this season, 2 quads, and I was really excited to see Victoria Volchkova, his coach, at the boards with him because she doesn't seem to
She doesn't usually
travel
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she doesn't usually travel, like, he's showed up to Skate America a couple times, and he has just, like, someone from New Jersey that came up with him. But, she was there, and it seemed like he skated better because she was there. He was, like, really on, and, yeah, that was great to see. I love that Super Bizarro program. I mean, I
So
think it's his
bizarre.
2nd Joker free skate in an Olympic year because he had one last Olympics, but it was a different Joker movie. Like, this is a more recent one.
But he also ends with the same music.
Oh, yeah.
He ends with the Jock Jams,
Oh, yeah,
version
yeah, yeah.
for the Joker version of Jock
Yeah,
Jams, but
yeah.
he does it so much better this time around.
Mhm.
I feel like the first time he did it, it was sorta like I was skating, he was skating through the music and it's like it's
Mhm.
there, and this time
Mhm.
it's like, "Yeah, we see your personality there,
Yeah. In that
Vladimir."
step sequence at the end, he is just, like, light on his feet, he loves it.
Yeah.
The bloodstains on his shirt and his gun holster.
But it's also just the hilarious part of it is if you just start watching the program and you're
Mhm.
like, "Wait, this is Frank Sinatra doing My Way. What does this
Mhm.
have anything to do with this costume?" And then Lady Gaga starts talking and you're like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's happening right now?"
He loves to take every piece of music from a movie and put them all together and give you absolutely no explanation about how they what they have in common, and I love it. I love it for him, and I love it for us.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of gun holsters, Jimmy Peng had a a gun holster on, and he was doing some pretty intense double-fisted finger-pointing guns.
I was very uncomfortable.
I was like, "What's going
I
on?"
was very uncomfortable during that program, not just because he could barely get through it, but, like,
Yeah,
there were so many gun noises in that
yeah,
program. I know they're fake gun noises, and I know
yeah.
it's finger guns. It's I just it was too much.
How about the Chinese dance team with the missile? They got a stuffed missile, and it said DF-61 on it. So I looked that up, and that is an intercontinental ballistic missile designed in China that is boasted to be able to reach Washington, D.C. And that's what they got as a stuffy. And
I don't
Roman
wanna know.
Haganur, when they're holding it up, he was like, "Oh my god." He looked uncomfortable.
I don't wanna know. Alright,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just change some subjects here. Uh, the other one I wanted to talk about was Joan Cha.
Oh, I
Um,
know,
we
June.
had some hopes that he might have figured out his boot problems, and I
Mhm,
think based on what he was saying, I think he has figured out his
mhm,
boot problems, but he just hasn't had enough training time with the new
mhm.
boots. So let's hope it just gets better from here because that was really tough to watch. And,
Yeah.
he did hit a quad in the free skate and then kind of the
Mhm,
rest of the program went away.
mhm.
And, you just, it's tough to see. Like, he's such a great skater and
Yeah.
you want him to be able to do what he can do
Mhm,
because it's just so impactful.
mhm. I was also pleased to see Shaidorov getting components that I feel are more, correlated with his actual skating. versus a couple weeks ago at the challenger he was at where he was wildly overscored.
Well,
I appreciated that.
the home
Yeah, the
challenger that he
home
was at.
challenger. Yeah.
But I gotta say, some of the calls for his jumps were a little bit uncalled for.
This week was weird because
It was
usually in
weird.
China you have like Shin or someone else who is just like cutting people's jumps down. And we had the opposite where we had two callers that were pretty generous, except when it came to Shaidorov.
It was very weird.
Yeah, it was
That
interesting.
that quad lutz in the short, I think, was the most egregious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I looked at it again. Like he does have a little bit of a hook, but
Hmm.
it was not a under rotated hook. If
I think it was
anything,
within the zone of you could have let it go.
yeah,
Yeah.
if anything, it was a cue. But what was interesting to me though, I saw a couple of instances of the jumps that were going down the long end,
Hmm.
kind of to the far side of where the technical panel's camera was,
Hmm.
that got calls that I didn't think should have gotten. And I do
Hmm.
wonder if it had anything to do with that angle and
Mm.
how it was done, because I saw a little bit of just like a, oh wait, I didn't think that was that should have been called moment, like a
Hmm.
couple of times on that one.
Mm.
Um so yeah, Shun Sato, I think, got the biggest boost out of this whole
Hmm.
thing. Danielle Grosso got a big
Oh my
boost out of
God. Yeah.
this.
So
Um,
big.
I mean, the fact that he scored almost a 270 here, while his teammates are sort of struggling to land jumps right now.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference to the way that he goes into the next Grand
Hmm.
Prix and then to Italian Nationals, which is in a matter of 6 weeks.
Hmm.
So he did himself a lot of favors. The judging panel did him a lot of favors. I
Yeah.
think there were a few either that jumps that just didn't get reviewed, or got
Hmm.
reviewed and they didn't call it. So
Yeah.
not sure what's going on, but that's something that we've seen in the
Yeah.
past.
He had a lot of crowd support here too. And he said afterward, he said, I know they love me because I'm blonde, but I hope they enjoyed my performance.
I want to maybe I'll go blonde and I'll say he'll
Yeah.
love me because I'm blonde.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was the topsy turvy of the men's free skate.
Hmm.
The first version of the Menning index that I'm working on had
Yeah.
this pretty high Menning in the
Oh,
index.
okay.
So
Let's go.
like not a surprise.
Yeah.
All right, we'll finish up with the women, and the women was a very exciting competition. I thought
Hmm.
this was probably my favorite one of the four. Again,
Hmm.
especially given there were a couple of seasons when we were like, "Oh, the women! If we're gonna
Yeah.
see a Grand Prix event, it's gonna be a lot of falls." And now, like they've really turned it around over the past
Hmm.
couple of seasons, and it is very exciting to
Hmm.
see. Amber Glenn, Alysa Liu, the American Battle Royale. Amber Glenn winning by just over 2 points. Rinka Watanabe with a really good short program,
Let's go.
and just a little bit of a messy free skate
Hmm.
that took her almost off the podium.
Hmm.
Gubanova skated well in fourth. I frankly thought she should have been third overall. Um, Jia Shin had a decent skate, better
Hmm.
than she was last week. And then Rino Matsuke getting hosed as always when
Hmm.
in component scores.
It was outrageous.
Oof. Yeah. And Ru Yang Zhang skating really well. And she's the front runner now, very much
Hmm.
so, for that Olympic spot that she earned in
Hmm.
Beijing a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
Amber Glenn, she loves Cup of China.
She does. Man, I'm a little worried though. What is the new? She both programs. She goes out and does a gorgeous triple axel and then messes up her
And the
combination.
combo. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want that to be a trend.
No, agreed. And that combination is usually so solid for her.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I feel like in the the short program was, I think she picked in wrong. The free
Mhm.
skate, I think it was just in her head.
Mhm.
But the fact that she skated the rest of the program cleanly is a good
Mhm.
sign.
Yes, for sure. For sure. We've come very far, and
We
that's
have
a
come
great sign.
so far. It's like every season we take a little bit of a step
Yeah.
because it was like, Amber, you can't land your triple axel. And then it was like, Amber, you land your triple axel in the first half of your free skate, but you can't land anything else. And
Yeah.
then it was, Amber, you're basically doing it, but then you can't finish the program. And then
Yeah.
this year it's like, okay, you can finish the program
Yeah.
and do everything.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad she kept her free skate. I think it's really working for her.
I think so too. I
Mhm.
think it's a great free skate.
Mhm.
And I do think that she feels like it didn't get its due last year
Mhm.
because she had one mistake or she
Mhm.
had, whatever, and
Yeah.
that was what it was. Alyssa Liu, what were your thoughts?
I was happy to see last year's short program again. I thought she skated it beautifully. I thought it was, um, you know, it was good on her. I do think her components were a little bit high, for what she did, but I'm not totally offended by it. Free skate, I really want to see a different program. The Donna Summer has been done.
Yeah.
But yeah, she laid it down. I really was entertained by her coach, Philip DeGuglielmo, who was just smiling and clapping at the boards through the whole free skate. He is so excited for her. He's just like a cheerleader
Oh yeah.
all the time. And that positive energy has to be just, uplifting to be around.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem stressed.
Yeah.
But
No,
she
for
doesn't
sure.
seem stressed, so maybe that has something to do with
She
it.
never
Yeah.
seems stressed. She's just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm at a competition." I mean,
Mhm.
she went out for her free skate and took a selfie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
true to Alyssa Liu form,
Yeah.
like, she did a cartwheel at
Yeah.
Worlds coming out and she takes a selfie
Yeah.
on her phone. Like
Yeah.
she's just having fun
Mhm.
and it's good to see. They did say that they are continuing to work on the Lady Gaga program.
Mhm.
That was something that Alyssa talked about and that I agree with you. I really it was kind of like there's certain programs that once they had their
Mhm.
pinnacle, you should leave it alone.
Mhm.
That one is one of those, like,
Mhm.
it's so hard to top what she
Mhm.
did at Worlds in Boston, like, there's
Mhm.
so tough, right? Whereas Amber
Mhm.
Glenn never had that moment with that free
Yeah.
skate, and so, maybe that's where it's time to do it. Or it's like,
Mhm.
like Mariah Bell's Hallelujah, right?
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
nationals that one time, it was like,
Yeah.
you can't go
Untouchable.
anymore than
Yeah.
that. So hopefully we'll see something more. I'm guessing, given it's a Grand Prix, she will
Mhm.
probably do this again for her second Grand Prix, and if she makes it to the final, probably for the final, and then maybe we'll see a
I
new
don't
program
know.
at nationals.
I feel like we'll see Gaga sooner than that, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll see. She was also talking about still considering changing her short program,
Yeah.
so it's a little worrisome to be unsure of where you're going to be skating to this deep into the season, but Alyssa's really good at sort of just flying by the seat of her pants and being
Right.
fine.
Well,
So,
that was the thing we were saying that Olympic season gets to your head. It doesn't get
mhm.
to her head because
No.
she doesn't even
Yeah.
think this is a different season than
Yeah.
usual. Um, Especially given that, she doesn't have her dad breathing down her neck nearly as
Mhm.
much as she used
Mhm.
to, right? And so
Mhm.
this is on her own terms,
Mhm.
and it's good to see.
Mhm.
Rinka Watanabe.
Oh
You
yeah.
asked me about the three A's versus
Yeah.
the three R's last
Yeah.
week, and
And you said Rinka wasn't going to get on the podium,
I
and she
know
proved you wrong.
she did. She did. I mean,
Uh
she had one of those, like,
mhm.
I'm gonna do it
Mhm.
competitions.
I wish she had decided she was gonna do it just a little bit less in the free skate because she tried too much. If she had just finished that gorgeous opening axle and done the rest of her program clean without trying to do triple axle, triple toe, second triple axle, I feel like that would have done more for her than what happened because she was so tired and out of it in the second half. She was like losing spin levels.
Yeah,
It was
she
just
was
a
losing a
little
lot
bit
of
too
stuff.
much. Yeah.
She was losing a lot of stuff, and then she popped the loop, and
Yeah.
then, like, I remember watching this program and being very excited about it the season that she debuted it.
Mhm.
Like there's certainly, like, intensity to it,
Mhm.
and the way that she skated it here, it almost was like a little bit of a deflated balloon at the end because she
Mm.
ends with a step sequence. And to your point, she was already exhausted by that point,
Mhm.
and so the step sequence didn't have the umph. And
Mhm.
then she finishes over time. Like, it
Yeah.
was just like, or not
Yeah.
over tight, but off the music, right?
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, that just didn't hit with the same
Yeah.
kind of intensity because she spent
Mhm.
so much of her energy in that first half trying to do these
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
So, I think it's another one where it's like a little bit more conditioning.
Mhm.
Mistakes take a toll on you for sure,
Mhm.
and so that's part of what happened there.
Mhm.
But yeah, I really, because of how the free skates turned out, I really thought Kubanova should have been a little bit higher
Mm.
in just the general marking of her free skate in
Yeah.
general, and so she ends up third, just off the podium by what, like less than a point.
Yeah.
Um, but
Her
would have been the three A's.
Yeah, her programs always seem just a little bit empty to me, and I feel like that's like a space
Yeah.
where she loses out on components. There's just not a lot of choreography in there. I want to mention Han Lee wearing blue contacts for her Sirens short program. I think that deserves extra PCS. She is costumed down to her eyeballs, literally her eyeballs. No one else is doing that. That is such commitment. And that affects the whole program because who knows if she's comfortable or not. Who else is taking that kind of a risk? That was impressive to me. And
I
it was
haven't.
creepy looking as mermaids are, so that was just
I did not
cool.
even notice.
Yeah.
The judges are probably like, "What? What?
Yeah.
That looks different."
Yeah.
Um,
Her free skate though. Lots of hooks. I mean, I think she benefited from the generous collar here, but it was
yeah.
just such a struggle. It's still, I don't know what's happening to her jumps. Has a bit of a tendency to have the hooked landings, maybe when she's tired. But
I mean, it's been like that throughout a lot of her career, even in her
hmm
junior days. There was that season that she won silver at Worlds, where
hmm
she got a little bit more of the quick twitch with
yeah,
her rotations, and they landed a lot more cleanly.
hmm
But yeah, it's a little bit dependent on the day
hmm
for that.
hmm
And it's just, it is one of those things where some of these skaters who have that kind of like late hook on those jump landings,
hmm
they just get hosed
yeah,
because if it weren't in super slow mo, you wouldn't even see it.
hmm
Um, but if because it is, and now that we've seen it so much, we can actually kind of tell when there's a hook.
yeah,
Whereas if this was 20 years ago, it'd be like, oh, that's a clean jump. Like
yeah.
I guarantee you go back to pre IJS days and
hmm
you slow mo some of these jumps from the 90s and the 80s.
hmm
You're like, oh,
yeah,
oh, we should have called a
yeah,
lot of those. But like
yeah,
it was just a different kind of
yeah.
standard of landing at that point.
Yeah. Sarah Hughes's under rotations always blow my mind. It's like, "Whoa." And
And they
then they're
wouldn't
just
call
like
this.
beautiful combinations.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Jia Shin in 5th,
yep.
despite being 4th in both segments, but that's good. She's, on top of, Hayen here, so we'll see. I feel like Jia Shin's gonna be on the Olympic team one way or the other, and I think it's probably between Hayen and Cheon to get
That's
the other
my
spot.
that's also my guess.
And I'd
Yeah.
love Young Yu to be in the mix too, but we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like it's probably going to be those four chasing
Mhm,
after it, and I agree with you. I think Gia has the advantage right now.
mhm.
She needs to just keep at it.
No more
Like,
popped loops.
yeah,
Mhm,
that loop is just giving her so much trouble right
mhm,
now. And
mhm.
then of course in the warm up we saw her do a beautiful one, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh, the loop's back, and it's like, no, it's not
yeah.
back. Korean women and their loops. Oof,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yuna didn't like it either.
the Yuna legacy.
Beverly Zhu, Yi Zhu had a beautiful short program here. I was
Agreed.
like, "Where did this come from?"
Agreed.
And then a so-so free skate. The first half was just abysmal, and then she kicked it into gear in the good second half.
I mean, I think she was very nervous about the
Mhm.
qualification.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you can tell that that it meant a lot to her because
Mhm.
she got off the ice and she was distraught, right?
Mhm.
And she's now trailing by 17 points going into
Mhm.
Chinese nationals, and she knows that that's going to be basically
Mhm.
the door is closed for
Mhm.
her.
Mhm.
Um, so that is what it is. All right. as usual, lots to talk about with the Grand Prix. That was the second one. We're going to, well, we're not physically going to. Nick McCarville will be
Nick's
physically
going.
going there. And he was like, "Are you sure you don't want to come to Saskatchewan?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think so." But we're off to Saskatoon next week for Skate Canada International, where again we're going to have a really big, like, just packed field across the board, and it's just going to be like this week after week after week. At least we won't have to stay up overnight this time around.
Oh, the events are beautifully timed. They're just perfect.
It's like you can watch things, and then you can go have dinner. Yep. All right. What are you obsessed about this week?
I'm gonna go with Litvintsev. I'm tempted to say Swain Han, but I'm gonna go with Litvintsev doing his free skate so well and having Volchkova there. That was just delightful to see.
I am obsessed with Tomoki Hiwatashi and how he has found a consistency when it matters most. And I hope I'm not jinxing him on this, but like, we have never seen him have back-to-back competitions like this before, and he knows it. And the fact that he came into Cup of China only because he was a late substitute, only because Camden Pulkkinen pulled out. And so one of his best friends gives him this opportunity, basically, because of his injury, and he took it and ran with it. And now he becomes the third highest scoring man for the U.S. this season. And it's closely bunched between him and Andrew Torgashev right now. And so I think if we were to play the how does nationals shape up game, you're probably looking at the two of them as the ones who are fighting it out for the third spot right now. We will see how it goes for the rest of the season. You know, Torgashev still has another Grand Prix. Naumov, I think, still has another Grand Prix. We haven't seen Jimmy Ma yet since the Challengers, right? Like, there's other things at play right now, but Tomoki's got to be happy with where he is right now. All right. So it is time for us to say goodbye. Time to say goodbye. Oh wait, I didn't talk about Kari doing her local competition. Speaking of time to say goodbye, she won a very domestic competition. Wasn't even sectionals. It was just like a random competition that was in her hometown, and it's part of her farewell tour. Yeah, it's like Mid-Atlantics. It's like if Eva Ziegler did her farewell tour and she went to Mid-Atlantics and skated. So she won it there. She doubled a flip in the short program and then stepped out of the loop in the free skate, but did a very good job generally. So Kari Sakamoto, we'll see you soon. All right. Well, we're gonna end it here. We've got a Skate Canada preview show coming up this week. We got to figure out what time it is because I think I'm on a plane again in our usual time. So we'll figure it out. It'll either be Wednesday night at 8 p.m. or it'll be Thursday. No, does it start on Thursday? No, it starts on Friday. We will figure it all out, and we will be with you soon. But for Michelle Ellis, this is Jackie Wong, Chief Skate Nerd of RockerSkating.com. And thank you very much to John Wilson Plates for your perennial sponsor, and to Tara Nichols, who will have a field day trying to figure out what clip to extract from this one for our promos. Probably be Michelle and I like fighting about Swain Han. All right, and we will see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.